That's funny.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Helps if I hit the recording button. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Overachievers Gaming Podcast. I am your host, Vash, joined, as always, with the Ashy Pastrami, the one, the only, the Warhammer champion,
Not really champion, but champion in my heart, you know.
the winner of many hearts and
Wait, is this
stories.
not stream? Are we not streaming this?
We're not streaming this, no.
It's just
Just
YouTube.
recording.
Oh,
Yeah, because
oh,
because it gives people a reason to pay attention
true.
afterwards.
Well, and us, we're the reason, right? We're the
Absolutely.
reason all seven of our fans keep coming back. You know. I'll say this though, those seven fans are loyal AF.
They are on point.
Let's give a big shout out to them real quick. Who we got? Who am I about to say? Beach, Big Papa, OSU, Jen, our boy Hutch,
Hooch.
Stan, Hellfire. We're pretty lucky. We got some good homies in here. You know
We
what I
are
mean?
lucky.
I didn't mention you. That's because I'm tired. I haven't eaten yet. And
You're eating your headphones.
you ever notice like people talk like this when they're on the phone?
Yeah, it's
Like,
real
yeah,
annoying.
bro, let's go to the club later tonight.
And
How do
like
they do that? You know?
and you're like, that's
Uh,
like microphone too. You're like, why are you doing to me?
it's like, I don't know. um, hey, how about that show though? You know
What
what I mean?
show?
The Last of Us.
You mean
Here's the problem I've been having before we get into this episode 3, which was banger, my dude. Here's
so
the problem
good.
I've been doing though. I obviously, if you don't know, I haven't played the game. I haven't played Last of Us. Charlie Vash, our great our gracious leader, gave me a PlayStation 4 Pro. What was that, last year, right? Or the
Mhm.
year before? I don't remember.
Right
Gave
before
me your
pandemic.
PS4 Pro. It was cool, right? It was before the pandemic, really?
No. It's once I got my PS5, so middle of pandemic.
Yeah, yeah. Gave me a PS4 Pro. And I have not played every PlayStation game. I should. There's a lot of games I have to go back to. I haven't done Last of Us yet. So when the show, oh God, are you frozen? Oh, you're there.
No,
Are
I'm
we
here.
good though?
I'm good.
Oh, you froze for a second. It's really weird. Um, when the show was announced,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, maybe I'll try to play it real quick. And I didn't want to do that because I wanted to give it its time it's deserved. So I decided to play after the show is done. But here's the problem: an episode happens, and I can't not look on the internet, and people are like, oh, well, like this is, it's crazy they did this instead of that in the game or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever. Also, before we even get too far, obviously you're gonna see the title of this. There are heavy spoilers for episode 3 of this episode. So please, if you haven't seen episode 3 of The Last of Us, don't listen. I mean, you could listen, but just don't. You're gonna ruin it for yourself, whatever. So I'm kind of like finding out what happens in the game just by proxy of watching the show. Obviously, the show is based on the game, but it's not, as we know, as you know, as someone who's played the game, it's not like scene by scene from the game. But with that being
Close.
said, very close. Um, the show narratively is just so good. In this episode, I understand that from the game perspective, we don't ever see Frank, and the Bill that we see is a little bit more curmudgeony and mean, and has like, the kind of insinuation is that this is who Joel can become if he doesn't have someone to ground him like Ellie or whatever. I know that we don't see that. We see like a small snippet of it, and we don't get to see the interactions of Bill with Ellie and Joel when they come up to his little mini town. But like, oh, I don't give a shit. Oh my god, what I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Um, God, what's Ron Swanson's actor's name? Jesus Christ.
Bill?
Hoff. No, but is that the
Oh,
actor's name? Oh my
Ron.
God,
Oh my God. That's not
not
Ron.
Ron Swanson. It's Nick.
Nick Offerman.
Nick. Oh my God. Like what? What an actor. Like what an actor. And I feel like it's funny because when you look back at, I'm about to like roast some people, and I don't really give a shit right now. If you look back at Parks and Rec, he made a fucking hardcore selfish libertarian likable and like have some humanity in him. And like this man can act. We just never knew it because we just saw him as fucking Ron Swanson. Like, oh, whatever. But like when you look back at that, you're like, oh my God, that man was acting. And really just like nailed that episode. And I think what I really enjoy is because I haven't, I'm coming on to episode 3 of our discussion here. I think what I'm really enjoying is the first few episodes, and I'm really curious to see from this point on, like, isn't the show yet. You know what I mean? Like, we are just seeing all of like the precursors. So in my mind, like episode 4 is when the fucking like The Last of Us is about to start. You know what I mean? Especially from, do you watch the trailers in the end for the next episode?
Yeah.
Especially based on like, the teaser we got for the next episode. It's like, yo, it's like about to be like real now with
Shit's
like
about to
Joel
go
and
down.
Ellie. Yeah, because everything we've seen so far is like wonderful backstory building, like world building to. Because I feel like sometimes when shows have like strong world building episodes, like in the start of it, it's like kind of slow and you're kind of like, whatever. But like I think they've hit every nail in the head very well in terms of like keeping me interested without even having the fucking show start yet. You know what I mean? Like in reality, because every episode I'm like, there's a part of me that is like upset that they don't have the whole season out at once, and a part of me that's very happy, so because it'll take me longer to go through it.
Yeah, and
Because
we get to do these episodes.
exactly. But yeah, wow, like truly great direction, great acting, great writing. So in your perspective, like as someone who has played the games, like obviously I kind of knew what happened just because I looked at it or looked it up rather. How do you feel about episode 3 as like a divergent from what the game was?
So I really like Neil Druckmann's opinion on this very thing, and I resonate with it very well, where he says that if the story is better, what was it? If the game is better than what we've come up with, we don't change a thing. We stick to the story. But if what we've come up with is better than the game, then we deviate. And I really like that approach, and I think more people should, because Last of Us is such a story-driven game and such a good narrative. It has so many, like, it just fires on all cylinders across the board about so many different aspects of life, society, love, religion, whatever, that it has to stay true to its nature, but they also have room to improve and room to change things. Because in reality, like, you're not going to have, like, as much as Chef and I wanted there to be the gymnasium scene with the bloater, like that wasn't going to be feasible in this context, because we didn't know what what Bill's, what that episode 3 is going to be about. We had no idea. We just knew that Bill was in it and Frank was in it, and we were going to get to know more about Frank. We didn't think that we were going to get...
Right, because you don't see Frank at all in the game, right?
No,
you just know that he bounced.
You see him when you meet Frank. He's already dead. So he hung himself, and Bill and Joel find him because he like needed to leave and he got bit, and all that fun stuff. And then I like how everyone on the internet is like, "Well, we didn't know what sexuality was." Like, who the fuck cares? It's a love story.
So I went back and looked, like, those motherfuckers are gay. Like, if you like they were fucking gay. Like, just sit here and be like, "Well, we didn't know they were gay. They didn't tell us they were gay." It's like, my dude.
Then you didn't read any of the notes in the game. Is what
they were fucking they were gay.
But also, who cares? Who gives a fuck?
Obviously, who cares? But like, the people who are gonna have hard criticisms about this episode don't actually care. How am I trying to word this? It's hard for me not to just be like, if you don't think there's an episode, are you just homophobic? Because it was like, it was a phenomenal episode. Like, everything about it fucking tracked. Great acting, great writing, great directing, all of it. It was fucking tight. But I think the part about that, I think that what you said is actually a huge part, because the fucking Neil, like, this isn't like George R. R. Martin, like in Game of Thrones shit. Like, there is full creative control with Neil Druckmann from Last of Us into the show. So it's not like this is like some fucking Hollywood divergent shit. But and like, the thing I say this every time we ever talk about anything that's been adapted, anything cinematic that's been adapted from a book, a comic, a video game, whatever, has to be treated differently from the source material, because you can't always go scene for scene, line by line, panel by panel, whatever, to cinema, whether it be a show or a movie. You can't. Like there's so many aspects that go into making something live action that people don't think about. Like it cost 100,000 every second or some shit that Dragon was on Game of Thrones. Like on, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like, would it have been cool if there was some fucking bloater fight? Of course it was, but that's just got to be saved. We don't know. We don't know like how much that should cost to literally render these. Like we got two clickers in the second episode, which was cool. We don't know how much that cost. That could have been the entire budget of that episode. Like, so I mean, I think that those are things that people have to think about too. But yeah, the fact that this is full. I also read something about there was a director's cut of that episode that was like 2 hours long or something, and
What?
yeah, and everyone that watched it like was crying their eyes out or some
I want to
shit.
see that.
I know. I'm curious of how we can view that, but
I'm
there was
sure
a
they'll be
good.
able to once the season's over. I'm sure they'll release it. So
Yeah,
or
maybe
put
like
it
on
in
the.
the DVD. I might actually buy this. I don't buy physical media like at all, but I will buy this on 4K Blu-ray,
If
8K
they tell
Blu-rays,
us that
whatever it
like
is.
every episode has a director's cut, like 100%.
Yeah. Or even
Yeah.
still, I just might buy it because it's excellent, and the sound design, the cinematography is on point. Like
Yes.
everything is firing on all
Oh my
cylinders,
God.
and it's
Visually,
so
it's so good, dude.
fucking
Who
good.
shot this?
Ego, Engo. I think it's Engo. Can't remember his name.
I'm looking
His
it
name
right now
starts with an
because
E.
it is good.
The whole series,
It
the
is
whole season, it's 3 DPs on this entire season, so it's totally different crews, and they're just all of them are killing it. It's
right.
excellent.
Where is? I wish. Oh yeah, that's right. I always forget that's on the bottom. So we have Eben Volter,
Yeah. Okay.
Senia Sereda, and Nadim Carlson. I hope I'm not fucking these episodes up, but
Probably. It's okay.
or these names up, but um.
One of them is a young DP. She's only 29.
Oh yeah, I think that's yeah. Oh yeah, I think it's Xenia.
I guess I don't know. I have a friend of mine who's gaffing a movie
Wow,
with
she
her
did
right now.
Chernobyl. Yeah, she did some shit too.
Yeah.
And then yeah, this dude Evan, he did oh, he's apparently well, he shot 4 episodes, not all 4 episodes. Okay.
Yeah, it's been different because they've been alternating. Because like with this kind of
Yeah.
show, like the way for anyone who's curious about
Why
like
do they
they
alternate
so
on television?
I'll happy to tell you.
I know, I wanted to like set you up.
So the idea is you have for a show to be really successful, and for a show like this, because you need world building, you have sets to build, you have to light, you have to plan, you have to do all these sort of things. You need to come in prepared. You just can't come in and wing it because, as Dom said, it's like a dragon's on a scene or on the screen for 100, and it costs $100,000 a second for every time it's been on the scene. You also got to come prepared. You got to make sure that you're planning your days right. If you're shooting outside, you have to take into account like direction of the sun and where you're shooting, etc. And so the idea is if you have multiple DPs, like as you're shooting, the other DPs are prepping. So they're prepping their scenes, they're going and doing tech scouts, they're doing all this stuff, they're getting things together, they're rehearsing, they're doing lighting setups. And so typically what you do is you have a shooting DP, and then you have a prepping DP. That's normally you have 2 DPs on TV shows, but for this they're probably doing 3 because there's a lot of things incorporated. So they're working with art department and planning on where the lights are going to be, how it's going to look, colors, renditions, all this sort of stuff. So they're going about it the correct way and not just sticking to 2, but really making sure that everyone has the capabilities to get what they need. And also like there might have been, honestly, it might have been only 1 DP for the pilot, and then it's 2 DPs for the rest of the for the rest of the series, which could have been like someone comes in, sets the look, they kind of do their thing. And then the other ones kind of do either they do their own thing or they keep to the style of the show. So, but anyway, it's just so good. So anyway, do you want to go through a little quick rundown of quick recap of everything? I have some notes.
I mean, yeah, if you I love
or do you just want to talk about it? It's up to you. I don't really care.
It's funny because this is how I actually work as a producer, which sounds like chaos, but like I don't ever do notes and shit. It's like almost because I'm actually a pretty like put together person in my personal life, but for some reason, anytime it's something like in any way professional, by the seat of my pants.
It's funny. I'm the complete opposite. I'm quite
weird.
literally the complete. I am so like punctual and doing other stuff for
Well,
work.
I'm punctual personally.
Oh, I'm not punctual at all personally, but
Yeah.
for work, absolutely.
That's so funny. But I mean, I make it work though, baby. Let's go through your notes and we can talk about it while we go through. the recap and
I
shit.
got all my notes right here. So
Are you like watching it and you're like, okay,
no,
what?
so here's
And
I mean it's a lot of notes. It's a lot of
oh,
notes.
Jesus Christ, dude! Did you
It's
watch the episode?
I did. No, so what I do is I go through just because whenever we watch TV, like we like to watch an episode and then we like to watch a recap thing of like maybe somebody thinks about something differently than we did.
Oh,
Our
like a YouTube video or
yeah,
something like that?
our go-to is Screen Crush just because we really like
No,
his
I know them. I do Emergency Awesome. It's funny you talk about that because
I
I
just
do the same thing.
I can't stand the guy's voice on Emergence Awesome.
Really?
He's just too monotone for me. He's just like
I don't know. I kind of like the monotone
I
because
just can't.
I'm not there to like.
I highly
I
recommend Screen Crush. If you he's just like,
no,
you know,
I'm familiar. I'm familiar.
it's just like you like his jokes. He also we always try to figure out where he's going to throw in a your mom joke, which is he does it every single one.
That's
It's so
funny.
funny. It's
That's
like and this
funny.
clicker over here is your mom, and it's just like I don't know. It's just
That's
so
funny.
funny. But anyway, so yeah, it's just I have so many notes on like everything that happened, and I don't know. I'll just go through them, but I really just love that they just incorporate so much from you know, this whole, you know, from the game, whether it's like dialogue or just like little motifs and whatnot. I really like how, you know, when they start off the episode, Ellie's just like, you know, I've never been through the woods, which is exactly what she says in the game because it's realistic. Like, you know, it's just
Oh
like,
my God. Yeah. Even though I play the game, the amount of like lines they take from the game are
but
like,
it's seamless.
yeah, seamless. It feels good.
It doesn't feel forced. Yeah.
No, it feels good. It feels very good. It feels very, very real.
Yeah, because it's like, you know, they never walk through the woods. Like, you don't bring up Tess ever. They talk about the same rules about, like, you pay
I
attention
did
to
watch
me.
this. Did you? There's this. I forgot what video it was, but there's a side by side from that scene and the game, and I was like, "Yo, that's it. That was it. That was tight."
Yeah, and then they have, like, little things about, it wasn't Mortal Kombat in the game, but it's something else. But, like, you know, they talk about that, which will come back later in the season, we think. But there's just so many good things about um, this whole thing. So I don't know if we want to recap it at all, but like I really like the um just that opening shot of them like putting all the cairn together, like Joel putting the cairn together is kind of like a, you know, he's also like resting his hand and like like kind of like not icing it, but like, you know, it's on a probably a cool stream. He's just trying to like, you know,
Yeah.
repair his hand, but then he like takes a rock and puts it on that. I just like had flashbacks from when I was doing all that Assassin's Creed stuff. They had like you have the like rock cairn building as one of the trophy achievements. I was like, fuck this, I
Oh,
can't do this
really?
anymore. Um, but yeah, it's just like there's but I like the little deviation of like, I mean, you have that little side that Cumberland Farms place where like you kind of go in and ravage and scavenge for, you know, gear and stuff, and you're trying
Does
to
it happen in
find
the game
stuff.
where she kills the
No,
infected?
not necessarily. I mean, she does on her own, but like it's not what they were doing is like, you know, they go in, they try to find stuff that's like already picked apart, and you're trying to find like one or two scraps, right? And that's
Yeah.
just very similar to the game. It's just like it was a nice nod to it, not necessarily have to be the same exact thing, but it's just a nice
Right.
like, hey, this is like a more realistic version of what actually people would did in the game. So, but yeah, like that whole thing, like I didn't know how the whole like going underneath the convenience store and seeing that the infected in there was going to play out. But man, what can you just say that like the prosthetics and
So good.
the special effects,
So good.
it's just everything in this game. That is,
Shit. Look, it's like you know, and that brings me to a real quick a point. Oh yes, dinner just got here. That brings me to a point that out of all of the like of the post-apocalyptic movies and shows and games that we have, this is one of the few where ever been like, yo, this shit like was like kind of real. Like, of course, after that, I saw the first episode, I immediately was like, cordyceps, what the fuck? How can they go to you know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
Because like, thanks, man. Thank you, baby. Got some bought me. Can't wait. Because it's always like some fucking bullshit, like zombie virus or some like it's always like some bullshit, and this is like mutated fungus that got into the grain, and then boom,
Yeah.
around the world, and it happened because of global warming, and you're just sitting there like,
You're like, not now. It's like, this is real. And there was, and we're still in the middle of a pandemic. You're like,
because you know Mallory's like really the fun guy. It's really funny though because she's like this, you know, because she's like
does that
really
make you a fun guy?
I gotta go. But it's really funny watching her because she's like, "That's not how cordyceps look," or whatever, which was really funny. But sorry, but
Does
yeah,
she
like,
really?
yeah. Well, there. First of all, there's like hundreds of different species of cordyceps. But like the clickers are straight up, they're called a shelf fungi. Like, and that's cordyceps aren't that. You know what I mean? Technically, even in like the intro animation isn't a fungus, it's a moss, which is even funnier. So like just shit like that. It's just silly. Like
Oh, this is so
because she's part
good.
of the Mycological Society in New York, so she's like fungus person.
Of
But
course, of course. And someone was gonna find like fault with this show. I was not expecting it to be Mallory. Like this
oh
isn't
yeah, it's really
realistic.
funny. Like after the second episode, she was like, "Yeah, it was all good, but like that's not how fungus looks. Why would the cordyceps mutate in that way?" I was like, "Okay, that's gonna be your fucking problem in this fantasy fucking world. Who knows how it could have fucking mutated? But I don't know. There is you got to suspend some disbelief, obviously. We're talking
Yeah.
about but yes, the prosthetic, the shit looks real. It's real.
Yeah, it looks like it could really happen, which is crazy. So,
Yeah.
well, without getting into all the craziness, because we try to keep these pretty short, of like half an hour or whatnot. So I don't want to. I'm not going to go through the entirety of the breakdown of everything. What were your 3 favorite moments in the show, in this episode?
The transformation of Bill going from paranoid loner,
Survivalist.
yeah, to having some humanity, which is really cool. Actually, the beginning montage of his survival shit was tight. Like going to Home Depot, turning on the gas, getting all set up. And then yeah, then the transformation from that to like someone that has like feelings. And then also seeing Joel and Tess come in for the first time and Joel just being like because that's the thing. Someone like Bill can be as prepared as he can be, like have everything he thinks he needs and like be good, but the dude's never been out in the world. So like Joel, who may not have all the shit that Bill does, is like he's out in the world. He has that experience. So he's like, yeah, I give your fence about a year because
Yeah.
Joel knows, like you know what I mean. Um, I think yeah, those were really great, and obviously like, the ending. God, that ending shot with the window, through, like, what I mean, as we pan up through the building and then look out the window, like wow, what a shot. Uh,
Yeah, windows are a big theme in Last of Us. So
yeah, I wonder if it's like some kind of like what do they call it? There's like a thing. There's like some mise en scène thing with windows and cinema and shit.
frame within a frame.
I get yeah, but if there's something like an actual like deeper thing there, I don't know what it is, but I'm sure that's like some kind of thing. Like we're looking at like
The window of the society as we're leaving them behind as Joel, as society dies, of the last thing of them in bed when Joel goes off to the future to embrace his destiny with
oh my
Ellie.
god, that's it. That's the clip right there. That's a wrap.
There we go.
All
All
right,
right.
all
Thanks,
right. Everyone, see you
everyone.
later. Thanks
Yeah.
for showing up. But you're kind of not wrong though either. So
Yeah.
yeah. What about you?
I think for me, it's always visually. So, like, I mean,
Yeah,
as much as I love the story, and I think probably the story elements for me was how, like, when Frank comes in and plays that piano section, and like he kind of does it his own stuff because like he's all jovial, and he kind of plays it based on what he's feeling. It's just like, yeah, this is great, this is how I envision the song. And then Bill's like, no, 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 I'm gonna play this. And then he like kind of opens up to Frank a little bit and plays it
yeah,
how emotional he feels. Like, so we kind of get a glimpse as to what he's going through, like what's been piled up after 3 years, I think, right now. So like he finally gets to meet somebody who's not like a psychopath or whatever.
right,
Um,
right.
and then he gets to open up and like be vulnerable to somebody who he hasn't seen, he's never met, done, felt this way for anyone. Like, he said he's never been with anyone. And so like it's very vulnerable to have somebody come in and
Yeah,
suddenly you have these feelings and things for the first time and not get to act on them, but then you're still like closed off to the world. It's just, I don't know. It's just, there's so much going on behind the scenes that's not said, which is excellent. It's
yeah. Me and
so
Mallory, when
good.
we saw that first part where he's like, "Go take a shower," and me and Mallory, oh, this dude's about to rob him or kill him or something,
Yeah.
and then it was not that. It was actually very sweet. So it's like, oh, okay. I was expecting bad things to happen, but
Yeah.
glad that's not the case.
And visually, I love the Raider scene. I just like
Oh
thought that was
yeah, yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
good.
yeah,
Just like
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
love a
yeah,
good silhouette, and I just
yeah,
really
yeah,
thought
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah, yeah.
how they did that, and just like making it from Frank's perspective as he tries to find Bill. It's just like I don't know,
Yes,
that was great. And I think probably
yes,
my other favorite was the strawberry scene. I just thought that was
yeah.
such a
Very
really
sweet.
great, just the
I
giggle about that
know,
strawberries
dude.
because like you
Was
can
can
empathize.
you imagine not you like you have had a strawberry in at that point it was what 5 years I think or that it
Probably
was
6 years, I think.
and it's just like I couldn't imagine. I like it's some I easily take it for granted. Like I have a strawberry probably like a couple like I have berries in general like probably like a couple times a month because and I'm just thinking like, yo, if I didn't have a strawberry for 6 years, like holy shit, that would be like gold. That would be amazing.
Yeah,
Probably. I don't know.
or anything sweet for that matter.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
crazy. I don't know. And I'm trying to rack my brain, but like, cause everything was just so good. Like, it's really hard to do outside work well. Like, as somebody
Yeah.
who's been shooting for many years, like, it's really hard to control the sun because
Yeah.
like it's against you essentially.
Yeah.
So just to make it consistent and have a consistent look while shooting outside in bright sunlight and wherever city they're shooting is just it's excellent. Like
Yeah.
the planning, the execution, how much they were able to do. It's just like it's really well, and it's like it's not noticeable. I mean, I can notice a little bit of time shift in some stuff, but like it's not that noticeable, and they just did a
Yeah.
fantastic job with it. So
Yeah.
cinematography is always my
And
go-to.
there was a lot of jumping in that episode of time, like
Yeah,
even outside of like obviously like physical time that we know of. Like if you watch an episode and it starts off in the middle of the day and then cuts to the next scene and clearly it's dusk or something. But like outside of that, like we go from before to during still to during then after kind of like the collapse of society and shit. And it's like yeah, super a very like extensive episode. There was a lot put in that episode.
yeah,
That's why dude, I would love to see the director's cut. God.
yeah. I I didn't know there was a director's cut, so now I want to watch it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was
But we'll have to keep that for another episode of The Last of Us Part 10.
yeah, The Last of Us episode 3 had a 2 hour director cut that's even more heartbreaking. That's
Like,
that's
wow,
the
if that's
title
the
of
case, I mean, that was what, an hour and 20, hour 10, something like that. Imagine
yeah,
they shot. So if that's the case, so you typically it's 6 weeks for roughly an hour's worth of footage, roughly, just on
yeah.
average for like an indie film. It's like most movies, a lot of indie films are done in like 3 4 weeks, and a lot of blockbuster films are done in like anywhere between 9 and 15 weeks. Like when I worked on 22 Jump Street, we were in New Orleans for 6 weeks and then Puerto Rico for 3 weeks. So that's sort of kind of a judge of how things would go. But it's just wild that they shot essentially all this time. My guess is they probably shot like 6 weeks worth, and they essentially only use
Yeah.
2/3 of it.
There's this one line from the article. So I was like, oh, that's probably not good in regards to it being 2 hours. And I sat down, but I'm like, okay, I'll watch the 2 hour version of this episode. And I cried so hard that at one point I actually said out loud, ow. I mean, it hurt. I cried so hard it hurt. Yeah. So
All right, fair enough. Fair
I hope
enough.
they
But
release that.
I hope so. I mean, we get enough people to send a petition. They should, but like,
I bet, yeah.
I wonder why they didn't. Maybe it's probably
Well,
too
because I don't
drawn out.
think I think from based on the article, it's not that they meant that to happen. There was just that much footage that ended up being 2 hours long, and they cut down from there. So it's not really like the director's cut is really just what they like edit. Like the director and the editor came together, and that's what they put together. And then it turns out, shit, this is too long. I think
Yeah.
that's what it needs more so than
Or it's like embellishing on things that are a little bit more slower pace and not everyone can appreciate. It's more of
yeah,
an indie feel, like
right,
taking time to beats and drawings. Like TV has differences than movies because in movies
yes,
you can have long drawn out sequences. You can't do that in
yes,
TV.
yeah, 100%.
But
I'll watch shit. I'll cry. I'll cry. I don't care.
I'll cry. So, all right. Any closing thoughts on the episode?
The episode. Just I think whoever did casting for this deserves a dang award because everyone so far has just been perfect.
Yeah, and a lot of people are like Nick Osterman for Bill. Like, who would ever think that would be a thing? Dude, it's so good.
Everyone's been
Everyone
perfect.
has been excellent. Cannot wait to see
Pedro and
Bella.
Bella Ramsey, they're just perfect.
Yeah, I'm very
They're
excited to
good.
see what happens this Sunday.
Yeah, same. Same.
Be good. Be good. Be good. Okay. Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for catching. If you want to come join us in discussions about The Last of Us, you can check us on Discord at discord.me/ogpodcast or on Instagram at og.podcast, or you can check us out on our website where we talk about awesome video games, because not every day we have a TV series that is fantastic that is also
Yes.
based on a video game. So you can find that at ogpodcast.fm, where we get this episode and every episode about what games we're playing. Looking forward to.
I almost said being overachiever.
Being overachiever.
That used to be the
That used to be
website.
it. That used to be the website. And it was just fun at that point. So anyway, thank you all for coming out, and we'll see you on. Are we recording this Sunday?
Sunday
I think
at
at 1
Yes.
p.m. Eastern. So come check it out. If you want to come check us live, twitch.tv/OG Podcast. Bye.
Bye.